Last night, I was out at a networking event and I had a realization. I was very present to a few unlocks that I've had in my business as both a landlord and an entrepreneur that really helped me get some exponential growth. And I wanted to share them with you today. My name is Chatto and I've been a landlord for over 25 years. And, I wanted to have a quick chat with Chatto about how to unlock success in your business. I don't know if you remember recently, but I did a video on talking about the 5 people that you hang out with, your network, right? The sum of those 5 people that you hang out with the most shows up in your life. You are the sum of those people. It's a quote by a famous motivational speaker who has since passed away, Jim Rohn. He's one of the OGs of motivational speaking, but that was his thing. You're the sum of the 5 people that you network with, that you hang out with, right? And that's always been to me something that's huge. As I've grown in my business, I've started hanging out with more and more people that are doing and being where I want to be. That being said, during that video, I realized that hey, if I'm going to do this YouTube thing now and I'm going to work on building success on YouTube, I probably need to get around and network with people in the YouTube space. But that being said, real estate is really my main deal. So a buddy of mine, he's a real estate investor. A little bit of a story. A buddy of mine is a real estate investor, and he goes out and buys a distressed bed and breakfast on acres of property. And he goes out and he buys this dilapidated pile of junk. And he put years of his life, years of blood, sweat, and tears into making this property absolutely beautiful. And he's created a wonderful, amazing bed and breakfast space. That being said, because he created such a wonderful space and he has event space, right, he decided that he's going to start having networking events. And he's a real estate investor, so they're real estate related networking events. So I'm out, I'm practicing what I preach, I'm going to go. And, it's fun, right? There's a sauna, a cold plunge, private chef, phenomenal food. It's a great event. So I'm at this event and I'm talking to a bunch of different people. And I was actually, speaking to some new guys. One guy actually really impressed me. I found out this guy, I did a video recently of a guy I was talking to who's 24 years old and he's buying his 11th property. I was talking to another guy. I don't know exactly how old he is, but I know he's in his mid-20s. And this guy actually has 32 units. He's acquired 32 units in a very short amount of time. Because I met him a couple of years ago when he was getting started and he bought his first property. I didn't realize, I haven't talked to him in a while, he's got 32 properties now. Utterly amazing for not even being 30 years old. That being said, I'm having conversations with people and I came to a couple of realizations. And I'm hoping that these will be of value to you. So there's 3 big things I kind of realized. The first thing that I realized is I can wholesale property. Okay, yeah, duh. There's a lot of people talking about, yeah, you can wholesale property, blah, blah, blah. And it's one thing to be told I can wholesale a property, but it's another thing to wholesale a property. There is an unlock that happens, right? There's something that switches in my mind after I got that first property under contract and sold, right? There's something that switched in my mind. And what that did for me is it allowed me to give up my W-2 job, and it allowed me to get into real estate full time, right? That wouldn't have been possible unless I realized, and that flip switch, and I had that realization, that unlock, right, that I could make money, support myself, and make money without having a W-2 job. And that was huge for me. That gave me what I needed to quit, goodbye, I'm out of here, leaving my job and jumping into it, right? I wouldn't have been able to do that until I got that unlock. I knew I could do it, but until I did it, I didn't know I can do it, if you know what I mean. So that was the first unlock that gave me exponential growth, because now I'm in real estate full time. I'm in the trenches. I'm in the fields. I'm making things happen, right? And I was able to just be involved and be in the space. The second big unlock that I had was that I could raise private money. And I don't know that this video, I'm really going to get too into what private money is and how that works. But I remember I've wholesaled a couple properties, and I had a property that was a good deal, but I needed to close on it before I could turn around and sell it. And I'm like, okay, I got to figure out this private money thing. And I didn't know what I'm doing, right? So I'm at a real estate event, and I'm in the, they have, oh, does anybody need anything? Blah, blah, blah. I raise my hand, like, hey, I got this deal. I need this much money. I'm interested. I'm willing to pay this much interest rate. If you're interested, talk to me, which I don't even know if you're allowed to do that. You're not really allowed to solicit for money, I guess. I don't know. But I raised my hand and said, hey, I'm looking for somebody to fund this deal. And one of the guys that was at the real estate meeting came up to me and said, hey, well, tell me about the deal. I'm interested. And he ended up lending me money on that property. Cool. Look at this. And of course, I got the deal done. I paid him back. He made money. I made money. Everybody was happy. And now there was something, again, that clicked. I knew you can raise private money and you can use that to buy properties. But now I really knew that you can raise private money and buy properties. So that being said, now I go back to find another deal. I go back to him, borrow more money. I go back to him, and I started borrowing money from him. And I'm sharing what I'm doing, right? And I'm just growing that network of private lenders. And now I'm able to buy properties with no money out of pocket. So what did I get? Exponential growth. I was able to go from, I think at the time I had like 5 units, 5 or 6, something like that. I had 5 or 6 units. Now all of a sudden I have 10. Now all of a sudden I have 20, 30, 40. Etc. Right? Like I was able to exponentially grow from that. So that being said, that was the second big unlock for me. And the third big unlock, right? Now I've been a landlord for a while. I'm making money. My properties are cash flowing, and they're also going up in value. That being said, I was able to start refinancing some of these properties, right? So it's one thing to refinance the property and get people their private money back. And usually you're lucky if you get a little bit of proceeds. But when I first actually refinanced the property that had equity, right, to see that and to do that and say, okay, cool. I remember I bought the property for, I think, $65,000. Which I should have been continuing to buy at that point, but in my mind, that was a ridiculous price. But I buy this property for $65,000. It was eventually worth close to $200,000 actually. Anyway, close to $200,000. But that being said, I'm like, okay, you know what? I don't want to sell the property, but I want to get some of that money out. So what did I do? I went to the bank. I refinanced with the bank. And we got a loan of, I think, $115,000, right? So now I'm putting 65 to like 115. I'm putting $50K in my pocket, cash, tax free, because it's a refi. And that was the first big unlock to do a refinance, right? My cash flow position really didn't change, right? And now I got all this equity back out. And the big thing that shifted for me was like, okay, cool. Now I got this $50,000. I can invest that into another asset, right? So it's one thing to exponentially grow by using other people's money to buy assets, but now I'm using my assets to buy assets, right? And now I'm able to do these refinances, cash out, and use that to buy different types of real estate, different types of assets that cash flow. And now those assets are throwing off cash flow that can now fund the next purchase. So it kind of helps with the exponential growth. So for me, like I came to the realization talking to some of these new guys and explaining what I'm doing, that those were 3 huge unlocks for me. Again, the first one was that I can wholesale properties. That got me unlocked from my W-2 job. The second one was that I could raise private money. That allowed me to buy more properties than I would be able to buy with my own money. Right? I'm now using other people's money to buy properties. And the third big unlock was refinancing, right? Being able to keep an asset and use the equity in that asset to buy another asset, right? And now that asset's throwing off cash. So you're throwing off cash with the first asset, you're buying the second, that one's throwing off cash. So those were the 3 big unlocks for me in my business that I realized. So that being said, hopefully it was of value. I'm going to come back to me now, right? The cool thing, like I'm at this event, awesome event. And I realized that a couple of guys there that I'm talking to, they're doing YouTube. Right? So I'm like, oh, cool. So I'm going to sit back and I'm going to reach out to these people. I got their phone number and I'm going to talk to them. And hopefully I'm at this point going to practice what I preach, and I'm going to start networking with people in that YouTube space so that, right, I can be successful here as well. So that being said, we're about 10 minutes in. Hopefully this video was of value to you, and I look forward to like, comment, subscribe, right, for the algorithm, and I look forward to seeing with you on the next episode of Chat with Chatto.